Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to morning Bhagavatam class. This morning we will be discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, verse 15. The chapter is entitled The Passing of Lord Bhishma Dev the Passing of Bhishma Dev and the Presence of Lord Krishna. We will start with the opening invocation prayers and continue from there. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Nittai Gaura Haribo Haribo Nittai Gaura Haribo Nittai Gaura Haribo Nittai Gaura Haribo Jayum Vishnupad Parahamsa Parivracharya Stota to Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayum Vishnupad Parahamsa Parivracharya Stota to Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Samavita Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Namani. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prapashidatmane Shri Gaura Kana Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Namani. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Deshatari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaivam Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayishta Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Hare Krishna. So I will chant the verse 3 times. I request devotees to please chant after me. Yatra dharma suto raja gada panir vrikodhara Krishna stri gandhi vam chapam suhrit Krishna stato vipat. Yatra dharma suto raja gada panir vrikodhara Krishna stri gandhi vam chapam suhrit Krishna stato vipat. Yatra dharma suto raja gada panir vrikodhara Krishna stri gandhi vam chapam suhrit Krishna stato vipat. Mother Gita, would like to chant, Mother?
Hare Krishna. Yatra dharma suto raja gada pani vrikodaraha Krishna stri gandivam chapam suhrit Krishna stato vipat.
Lower. Yatra Dhamma Sito Raja Gada Pani Vikodara Vishnu Sri Gandivam Chapam Surit Krishna Stato Vipat. Hare Krishna.
Yatra dharma sato raja gada panir vrikodaraha Krishno astri gandivam chapam surat Krishna svitato vipat. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else?
Yatra dharma suto raja katapane vikotara Krishna stri kandivam chapam Krishna stato vipat. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so we'll go into the word for word translation. Yatra, where there is. Dharma Sutha, the son of Dharmaraj. Raja, the king. Gadapani, with his mighty club in hand. Vrikodara, Bhima. Krishna, Arjuna. Astri, carrier of the weapon. Gandivam, Gandhi. Chapam, bow. Surhit, well-wisher. Krishna, Lord Krishna. The personality of Godhead. Tata, thereof. Vipat, reverse. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Oh, how wonderful is the influence of inevitable time. It is irreversible. Otherwise, how can there be reverses in the presence of King Yudhishthir, the son of the demigod controlling religion? Bhima, the great fighter with the club. The great bowman Arjun with his mighty weapon Gandhi. And above all, the Lord, the direct well-wisher of the Pandavas. Purport. As far as the material or spiritual resources were required, there was no scarcity in the case of the Pandavas. Materially, they were well equipped because two great warriors, namely Bhima and Arjun, were there. Spiritually, the king himself was the symbol of religion, and above all of them, the personality of Godhead. Lord Sri Krishna was personally concerned with their affairs as the well-wisher. And yet there were so many reverses on the side of the Pandavas. Despite the power of pious acts, the power of personalities, the power of expert management, and the power of weapons under the direct supervision of Lord Krishna, the Pandavas suffered so many practical reverses which can only be explained as due to the influence of color, inevitable time. Color is identical with the Lord himself, and therefore the influence of color indicates the explicable wish of the Lord himself. There is nothing to be lamented when a matter is beyond the control of any human being. Om Aganati Mirandhyasya Gyana Gyana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmalinamina Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The translation: Oh, how wonderful is this influence of inevitable time. It is irreversible. Otherwise, how can there be reverses? In the presence of King Yudhishthira, the son of the demigod controlling religion, Bhima, the great fighter with a club, the great bowman Arjuna with his mighty weapon Gandiva, and above all, the Lord, the direct well-wisher of the Pandavas. So this topic on time has been very vastly, greatly covered by His Holiness Chandramali Swami yesterday. So I can only probably add a little bit more, not too much, because Maharaj really covered this topic very nicely yesterday. And the topic of this verse is the influence of time. As Maharaj mentioned yesterday in class, the time is invincible, inevitable, irreversible, irreplaceable, so on and so forth. It doesn't stop. Like right now, we are, at least my clock is saying 8:12 a.m. It's not 8:11. I can't turn back the clock to make it 8:11 or 8 in the morning. It's irreversible. It just doesn't stop. It moves forward. It doesn't move backward. It just doesn't move backward. It's always going forward, going forward. Srila Prabhupada used to say, he used to quote this British saying, time and tide waits for no man. Time and tide waits for no man. So we see the force of time is something that devotees of the Lord must take into account. It's part of our lives. We cannot escape time at all. Time is what's moving things forward. Time is one of the essential things that makes events happen, right? Anything we do, what time do we go to the office? 9 o'clock. What time do we leave? 5. It's always what time. What time do I go to the bank? 10 o'clock. What time shall I cook? It's always time. Any event that we do involves time. We cannot have any event, anything in life without time. Even when we are born, right, on the birth certificate, it says time of birth. There's anything, any event, a time of death, they would have jotted down in the death certificate. Any event in life, any event involves time. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse 32, Lord Krishna so nicely says, time I am, the great destroyer of the world. And by this, we can see that time is the inconceivable energy of the Supreme Lord, through which ultimately he destroys everything. Sometimes we ask ourselves, right, why is time moving forward? Yesterday, when I was contemplating on Chandramani Swami's class during the day, and also thinking about this morning's verse, that time is moving forward. And sometimes we say, but why is time moving forward so fast? Well, what came to my mind, my little minute realization is Krishna wants to destroy everything so that we can go back to him. He's waiting for us. What is separating us from seeing the Lord is time. What is separating us from not taking Krishna consciousness seriously is time. We give so much time for everything else, but not Krishna. What's coming to my mind, a thought that when Bhakti Swami went to Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada told Bhakti Swami, you have done everything in your life. You have given so much time to do everything. At least this lifetime, give it all to Krishna. At least this lifetime, give it all to Krishna. So time is separating us from going back to Godhead. That's why it's moving forward. If time was moving backward, which is not the case, then there's no progress in spiritual life. It has to move forward. Moving forward means coming closer to the Lord. Krishna is the destroyer of everything, so that whatever is not meant for Krishna consciousness, he will destroy. Whatever is meant for us to grow, he will push us to go forward. That's time. If we look at the material world, right, time controls the action of air, the sun, the moon, the stars, the elements, the wind, everything. As long as we are bounded within the material world, we have to bear the actions and reactions of time, whether we like it or not, whether we want or not, whether we welcome it or not. It doesn't matter. You know, time doesn't knock on the door and says, hey, can I come in? It just happens. Time doesn't ask for permission. You know, can I do this for you right now? It just happens. The actions and reactions, it just happens. And this is such an important point for us to really, really meditate on, you know, that how time is just fleeting away, right? It's just passing us by. Whenever we think, I don't have time for this, that is when we have to evaluate our time. My gosh, I don't have time for all this. When will I really find time to really crave for devotee association? As soon as we say, I don't have time for something spiritual, but we have time for something material, then it's a red flag. We have to take time to evaluate and ask ourselves, time is passing by, right? And like Chandramani Swami was saying in the class yesterday, right? As we get older, then we realize, oh my God, time is running out. When we are young, we take it for granted. Oh, I'm 15. Oh, I'm 20, I got time. Oh, I'm 25, I got time. But when we think like that, then we think that we are in control of time. We hear and know of news involving death of people dying at old age, but that doesn't mean that people in the teens or the 20s or the 30s are not dying. They too do meet an untimely death, or maybe a timely death, I don't know. But time has no favorites. Time is not partial to anybody. Sometimes when we think, oh, I have time, no, I don't have time. I really don't have time. And we should always be in the emergency consciousness, which I was thinking about yesterday and this morning, how my spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami, always told us to be in the emergency consciousness, the urgency for Krishna consciousness, because time is fleeting. It's just passing us by. We cannot turn the clock back. It's just impossible. I mean, it's not possible because it's irreversible. So when we have the opportunity to really associate with the devotees, if we have the opportunity to hear from from the devotees, join classes, hear Bhagavatam, chant the holy name. We should take it like our life's long goal. As soon as we say, oh, I don't have time, oh, I don't have time for especially for something spiritual, then we have to evaluate our time management. How much is my time going into everything else, but I cannot make time for just this one little thing, right? The understanding from the purport, as we have heard in Bhagavad Gita, is time is not different from Krishna himself. We cannot stop time, and we know that. It's irreversible, it's irreplaceable, we can't stop it. But that time is Krishna. And because time is Krishna, who can stop Krishna? Who has ever stopped Krishna? And no one can stop Krishna. And if we think we can stop Krishna, then it's definitely a messed up situation, because Krishna is Supreme Personality of God and we are not. And if no one can stop Krishna, then who can stop time? Because time is Krishna. Time keeps moving. Things are moving this way and that way, some other way. But things are moving and changes are happening due to the force of time. Things are going well, and suddenly things are falling apart. Many of us, probably all of us, have this common thing. I'm losing control of the situation. But the joke is, we are not the controller. We never had control of the situation to begin with. We think that we are losing control of the situation because we think that we are controlling the situation. But we never had control of it to begin with. So when we don't have control of a situation, when we never had control in the beginning, then we just go to the Lord and pray, Krishna, this is getting out of hand. I don't have control over the situation. Please help. Krishna's time. When things don't go that's the way we plan, then it's time to do a reality check. Who is controlling the situation? Probably it's not meant to be. As we've heard this common phrase, man proposes, God disposes. We can have a laundry list of, I want to do this, 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 I want to do this. But Krishna is the final word. No, it's not for you. And sometimes we justify the action by saying, but it's something spiritual. Yes, Krishna is still the final say. Krishna will decide. Even if it's something spiritual, Krishna knows whether it's meant for me to do it or someone else to do it, whether it's spiritual or not. We can have all the plans. We can have all the flow charts. We can have all the, the timeline and the blueprint and what have you. But the ultimate say is Krishna. I know when I reflect in my life, growing up, and all the plans that my dad had for me, it turned 180 degrees. Literally. It literally turned, flipped. Whatever my dad has planned for my life, like any parent would, it never came true. Not one of it came true. And to me, that is definitely Krishna. That he had his plan. And even though whatever my father planned for me did not come true, and whatever I thought could have been better from his plan did not come true, that shows that after all, who am I? Krishna decides everything. Krishna decides everything. The flow of events is the manifestation of the flow of time. This is a nice quote that I got from His Holiness Ramapad Swami. He says, the flow of events is the manifestation of the flow of time. Very powerful. And then he goes on to say, there is nothing to be lamented when a matter is beyond the control of any human being. And then he goes on to say, the reason we lament when something is beyond our control is because we want to be the controller of the time and events. That's why we lament. Oh my God, it didn't go this way. Oh my God, it didn't go that way. Oh, why did this happen? Because it's not within our control. When it's not within our control, what do? We get so stressed out. Majority of the health challenges in today's world is stress because it's not going our way. We lament, oh my God, it's not what I planned. It's not what it's supposed to be. It's, you know, what I plan is going the other way. And we get so mental. We lament, we meditate, we spend so much time thinking of why, and we lament because why? It's not going according to our plans when the Lord knows what's supposed to be done. And I was reading a very nice, I got this quote from my spiritual master's book that I want to share. It's really nice, and it's from his Spiritual Warrior 2, and it's a paragraph, and I'll go slow with it. It's really beautiful. He says, when we feel secure, we are thinking that we are in the right place at the right time, and we feel protected. Insecurity leads to opposing feelings such as confusion or fear. We do not feel that our circumstances are meant for our growth. This type of mentality is covered atheism because we are forgetting that the Lord has arranged things, even though we may not always understand the reason. It's pretty powerful. The Lord does not go on vacation. He always deeply loves every soul and arranges challenges and adventures for each one of us. So this is powerful, you know. When we feel secure, when we feel that we are in the right time, when we feel protected, then we feel, okay, this is my time. My time is good. I'm covered. But when we feel confusion and fear, when something is not going according to what we planned, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami calls it covered atheism. And why does he call that? Because he says, because we are forgetting that the Lord has arranged things, even though we may not always understand the reason. So Krishna is time. Krishna is time. I was and another point that came from this very nice topic of time is, which I really liked, and I got this from a very nice devotee, proper disciple. His name is Mathuresh Dasi in Alachua. He says, so what is time? Time is a vehicle for suffering or for unending happiness. It's how we look at it. And I really like that. And I'm still trying to digest that point myself, but I thought I would share it here. You know, time is a vehicle for suffering or for unending happiness. The choice is ours. Either way, time is sure to always remain a source of perplexity because it is an inconceivable energy of the Lord. And then he goes on to say, better to be perplexed by time's unlimited potential to bring spiritual enjoyment than by its power to destroy. And I like how he changed the concept of time to be very positive. So what he's trying to tell us here is, rather than being perplexed that time is torturing us, or giving us headache, or messing with our plans, or messing with our fantasies or our dreams or what have you, rather than getting so perplexed with time messing up things for us, is better to be perplexed with the potential that time can bring spiritual enjoyment. So what I'm gathering from this point is, everything that happens in time at that moment, because time is Krishna, we should try to work towards developing the mood of viewing time as an opportunity for growth in Krishna consciousness. Opportunity for growth to come closer to the Lord. Opportunity for growth to remind us that we have to be in that emergency consciousness, the urgency for Krishna consciousness, because everything is planned by the Lord. So the best thing to do is just simply follow the orders of the Lord, wishes of the Lord, and cooperate with them. That's the best thing to do. And another thing that comes to my mind is, my spiritual master used to always tell us, whenever someone says, "Oh, I'm 30 years old." So the word 30 years old, about 70, 75. So I got 45 years to live. Okay, there's hope. I can start planning my retirement plan. His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami would say, we are not 30 years old, we are years is gone. We cannot turn the clock back. We cannot say, oh my God, what did I do in this 30 years? If anything, every year when we have a birthday, rather than celebrating and saying, yeah, I'm 30 years old, okay, I got 45 more years to go, or 40 years, or what have you, we have to think, what did I do in those 30 years? Did I waste my time? I really wasted time. I really took Krishna's time for granted. What can I do to make it better moving forward? Because time is Krishna. What can I do to use Krishna's time in service to the Lord? How can I embrace time's unlimited potential to bring spiritual enjoyment? Because every minute when it passes by, it's gone. It's just gone. We can't turn it. So nicely, Bhishma Dev is reminding us, time is Krishna. He's non-different. Non-different. Everything happens by the will of the Lord. Everything. We just have to learn to develop that mood of understanding. Krishna, whatever is happening, I don't understand, but it's happening by your will. Help me to surrender. Help me to accept that you are time. My realization and reflection when I was preparing for this class, and even more after hearing His Holiness Chandramali Swami's class yesterday, is how time is so limited. 24 hours sounds so much, but it's nothing. I remember last Sunday, we had bad weather here, so we had to cancel our in-person Sunday program, and we had it on Zoom. And I said, okay, so I got 3 extra hours, because normally, I cook my kids and I, my girls, we cook the Sunday feast. So takes about 3-4 hours. I said, okay, now I have 3-4 hours that I can do something that, that to replace the cooking with something more productive. Wrong. Next thing I knew, what I wanted to do, I couldn't do. Couldn't turn the clock back. So it sounds so long. Wow, 24 hours, but it's really very limited. Because we are looking at time as a means of enjoying ourselves in this world. We are saying, okay, there's so much time to do this, there's so much time to do that, I can go here, I can go there, I can do this. Next thing you know, time is gone. Time is gone. Time is very short because we are looking at time as a means to enjoy for ourselves. Instead, we should be looking at time as a means for growing closer to Krishna. The emergency consciousness, the urgency in Krishna consciousness. And each day, and we don't have to wait for birthdays. It comes once in a year. Just to wait for the birthday is taking another, 364 days. Why do you want to wait that long? Every day we have to ask ourselves. We have to check our time. Am I growing closer to the Lord? How am I engaging my time in devotional service? Am I reading Srila Prabhupada's books? Okay, am I reading Srila Prabhupada's quotes? Right? How is my chanting? Most importantly is how is my sadhu sangha? And especially in this pandemic. Right? It is really separating devotee association. But there are so many other means for devotee association. We have Zoom right now. We have our electronic gadgets. We have to really use our time so wisely that we have to somehow take the time for devotee association, devotional service, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, growing closer to the Lord. Small things. Because next thing you know, time is gone. One of our handyman contractor for the temple, he comes in, plows the snow, removes the snow at our temple. So he stopped by our house a couple of days ago to pick up his payment for the service that he did. His name is Larry. And he was sharing with us what has happened in his family for 2 years. And all I could think of is, wow, Krishna, you know what you're doing. In a matter of 2 months, he lost 2 brothers and an uncle. And last year he had a heart attack. And then he is taken upon one of his son's baby to take care of him. And he's not a young guy, he's in his 50s, actually, he said to me. And when he shared all his troubles and tribulations and trials with me, he said, the good Lord knows what he's doing. And I said, yes. I said, the good Lord knows what he's doing. And then this guy said, Larry said, he knows what he's doing because it's happening in his time. I said, yes. Everything is happening for a reason. For a reason. We just have to learn to develop that understanding of how to see it as a lesson. Every second, every minute, every hour is a learning lesson. And my spiritual master would always remind us that life is a lesson in itself. If we look back and reflect on our lives, whether it's 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 70 years, we reflect and we say, where did the time go? Very common thing you say, where did the time go? Then we reflect and we depend and we think, what did I learn in this life? We have to ask ourselves, life is a lesson in itself. It's a school of lessons. So what did I learn in this life? How and what lessons should I draw from this life that I have burnt? And how can I make it better moving forward? Because time is moving. Krishna is moving. Krishna is not stopping for nobody. Krishna is moving every second. He's moving forward. He's not moving backward. He's moving forward. So we have to keep up with Krishna because Krishna is time. And in order for us to keep up with the Lord, we have to make sure that we make the best of it in Krishna consciousness. We are already giving so much materially. If we were to evaluate our day's activity, at least 90% of it is going for something material. And yes, and many times those material obligations are spiritual, like taking care of a family, children, husband, wife, cooking. Yes. It's because after all, what we have is also Krishna's gift to us, our family. But more than that, what gift are we giving to ourselves? My father used to always tell me that no one can earn your salvation but you. He would always tell us, I cannot earn your salvation. You cannot earn my salvation. Only you can earn your own salvation. And that means, how do we use our time and reflect on our lives? Where did the time go, right? Where did I waste it? And going forward, what lessons am I drawing from the years that I have burnt? And learn lessons from the past so that we can make it better moving forward. So this was my realization after hearing Chandramauli Swami's class on time, and just a little more that and these were thoughts that I was reflecting on after his class, that made me really think how time is so short, it's so limited. We have to use it very wisely, and we have to insert more devotional service, more sadhu sangha, more hearing, shravanam, kirtanam, Vishnu smaranam. Hearing. There's no end to hearing. We have to make time to hear, make time to chant, make time for devotional service, make time for sadhu sangha. Have to make time, because time is Krishna. And Krishna, being the time, is so kind. He's so kind because Krishna is time, and Krishna is giving us the opportunity to use the time, which is him, in his service. Krishna is so merciful because he has made himself time. He says, time I am. So let's use the time that Krishna is giving us as him, as he himself, to bring spiritual enjoyment, to use it in Krishna's service, to use it wisely. Because at the end of the day, at the end of our lives, that's another thing that my guru used to tell us, my spiritual master would tell us, we don't want to be on the dying bed regretting, oh, I didn't. Oh, I didn't do that. Those regrets will bring us back. We have to use time where we don't have regrets, and the only way is to give time in service to the Lord. Just do it to please the Lord and his devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts and realizations after hearing His Holiness Chandramauli Swami's class. If there are any questions, any comments, any thoughts, would love to hear takeaways. Please do share. We have about good 15 minutes before we end the class, so it's a nice time for discussion. Any takeaways? It's a pretty quiet morning.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Drop my whole obeisances, glory to the
Jai.
Prabhupada. The way you define time, that's really, the situation from what you read from Agu Maharaj's book, which is what really, really struck me. And I appreciate you getting that reference and putting it in. That's all I wanted to say about it.
Thank you.
Hare
And I
Krishna.
think Krishna had a plan because I just saw it this morning. It's a beautiful quote.
Do you care to expand on it a little bit more?
Let me go back. I'm going to go back. I want to refer to that beautiful verse that he shared. So he said, when we feel secure, we are thinking that we're in the right place at the right time, and we feel protected. So whenever we feel secure, whenever we feel everything is good, everything is right, everything is perfect, then we codify that to mean good. So which means what I'm getting from what my realizations and thoughts are from this is when things are going our way, when we feel secure, when we feel that we are in the right place, when we feel that we're protected, it's all about I, me, mine, going back to the Bhagavad Gita. When it's going according to our plans, then we are like, okay, I'm covered. We codify it to mean I'm in good shape. But whenever we are in good shape, whenever everything is going so well, that is the time when we don't think of Krishna so much because we're enjoying the feeling of, complete. The only time we think of the Lord is when things go messed up. So that was, that's what's coming to my mind. And insecurity leads to opposing feelings. So when something is not going our way, we are fearful. And that was the question that I asked Chandamali Swami yesterday. When things don't go our way, we become fearful. And he said, yeah, fear is a factor that people just have a big challenge because they are fearful of not being in control. If anything, he said that they should be fearful of Maya as opposed to being in control, is what he said. And another point that came out from this is he says, we do not feel that our circumstances are meant for our growth. This type of mentality, which this is a powerful statement, for me is like it hit me like a thunderbolt. This type of mentality is covered and atheism. So as soon as we think that, oh, it's not going in my way, I'm confused, I'm feared because I don't have control. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm losing touch, I'm losing control. As soon as we start thinking about being the controller, it's covered atheism. Meaning, atheism, we know it means that one who doesn't believe in God. So as soon as we think that we are the controllers, we are saying that, oh my God, I'm an atheist. So what he's sharing here with us is we have to start remembering, we have to develop the understanding that everything is happening by the will of the Lord because he's time. And we have to surrender because the Lord has no favorites. He's not partial and he's moving forward. In fact, he says the Lord doesn't go on vacation. We know that, and he loves everyone equally. And he's the controller. And we use this term so much. Man proposes, God disposes. Yes, the Lord disposes. We just have to accept it. And the more we accept it, then we are removing that covering of atheism and being a surrendered soul, das, anudas. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you have. This whole point, and I'll just like to comment a little bit. The way you defined, or you read, covered atheism, when we think that things have to go our way, and when they don't go our way, then we have issues with it. That everything really is based on God's plan. So it boils down to, is it our plan or Krishna's plan in everything that we do? We have to question ourselves. Where is this coming from? What lessons do I learn from it? And you've mentioned, I'm just going about it in a different way, that devotees should be very, very cautious about the way things go on in their lives and how they codify it. Is it from the Lord, or is it just from my own mind or my own ego? Because the false ego can surface in ways sometimes that we don't even think of, but that's a whole lecture in itself. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yes, Krishna's plan or my plan? Yes, perfect summary of that whole point. Thank you. Any questions from devotees? Any thoughts? Any clarification or a takeaway? Would love to hear your takeaway. We have about 7 minutes. If devotees would like to share their takeaways, anything that they would like to share with us that resonated with them in this beautiful verse from Bhagavatam. Yes, Varsha.
Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila
Jai
Prabhupada.
Shri Prabhupada, accept mine.
Mataji, I just wanted to share the Radhanath Swami's quote about time.
Please.
Yeah, he's saying time is mystical. We cannot touch, see, feel, but it is going every day, and we cannot bring it back. Real waste of time when we don't understand the purpose and meaning of life.
Wow.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. That is really amazing. Really amazing. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, it is very mystical because Krishna is mystical. Yeah, so nice. Thank you for sharing that quote. Thank you. Nice question by Dear Krishna. He says, very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. How to know Krishna's plan and how does it get revealed to us? That is the famous $1 million question. How to know Krishna's plan? Well, from my limited understanding, and I will ask Parikshit to comment on this after I'm done, is in order to know Krishna's plan is whenever we want to do something, we go in the mood of Krishna, I'm doing this for if it's your will, let it happen. You put it to the Lord rather than saying, I'm gonna make it happen because it's my plan, because it's my idea, because it's my whatever. Rather in the mood of a surrendered devotee, like the mood of surrender, say, Krishna, this is what I'm thinking. If it's meant to be, you make it manifest. And we just give it to the Lord and have him do what he thinks is best. And if it's meant to reveal, it will happen. If it's meant to manifest, it will manifest. If it's not meant to manifest, then it will not manifest. This kind of an interesting thought that I had a couple of weeks ago. There was something in the temple that was thinking about to do for quite some time. And we created a nursery, for the kids ages 5 and younger, thinking that whenever the small kids come, those that are not in Sunday class, that they can hang out there, So we got a room painted and this and that and all that kind of stuff, ready to have it open as a nursery. Now, that was my plan. Although it's for the service of the Lord, for his children, but it was my plan. And Krishna had another plan because Krishna brought a devotee who needed a place to stay. So that has turned into a mini ashram. It was not my plan. But the Lord's devotee needed a place to stay for a short while, a couple of weeks. And now we are not using that room. So I said, fine. So that can be used in Krishna service. So Krishna just turned the whole thing around. Is it going to be a nursery? I don't know. Is it going to be another room for a nursery? I don't know. But right now it's not a nursery. So, it's a very material example, I think. But the more we come in the mood of saying, Krishna, this is the plan. If it's your will, make it happen. And also another point that's coming to my mind, Prabhu, is over-endeavoring. The more, from the nectar of instruction, the more we over-endeavor, and we come to a roadblock, it's not meant to be. I personally have experienced that. Personally, in my personal life, the more we beat a dead horse over and over and over and over again, and it doesn't manifest, that means it's not meant to be. And Krishna is just saying in many ways, it's not for you. Why are you beating it? So over-endeavoring is also another symptom of wanting to be the controller, wanting to have our plans manifest when it's not Krishna's plan, and wanting to be the controller. I hope I answered your question, but I'll ask Parikshit to shed some light on it.
Hare Krishna. Step on the basis is all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, in many ways, what you've said is very good to start the day with. Short prayer that says that, please, Lord, let today's things that happen be according to your plan and not my plan. So when things sometimes you think about, and you've already made that kind of prayer in the morning, then, before you start your day, then things that are happening will be based, even though it's coming through your mind, but it will be Krishna working through your mind. And so when things don't go the way it should happen, or you're thinking it's supposed to happen, it will go a different way. Not that nothing would happen, it would go a different way. And you say, that's Krishna's mercy. And you keep going on. The other way, the answer to dear Krishna's, Good Krishna Prabhu's question about how we know, by Krishna's plan, is Krishna's plan is a spiritual master's plan also. So if you check in through the spiritual master, you can't go wrong then. Bona fide spiritual master represents the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the instructions coming through him to you is also Krishna's instructions. That's also important to note. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I hope that helped, dear Krishna. You must be at work. Any other questions? We have like about a minute left. Any other questions? Any other clarification? Any other sharing or takeaway? Thank you, dear Krishna. Crystal clear, he says. Thank you. There's something here. Okay, Prabhupada saying in Krishna consciousness, results are not important. That's the same thing Krishna told Arjuna, right? Whether someone will become a devotee or not, or would take up the Krishna conscious process or not, is not in our hands. That is in Krishna's hand. Only efforts are very important and are in our hands, and that's what pleases Sri Krishna. Yes, that's the same thing Krishna told Arjuna. You just fight, leave the results to me. You just do your duty, the effort. Absolutely. We just got to focus on doing the effort and focus on doing our duty, and what comes out of it is Krishna's plan. Yes, thank you, Bhakta Brett. Thank you for your comment about the mercy of Guru and Krishna. We have come to the hour, and I don't want to hold any devotees up. If there are no questions, comments, or takeaways, we thank you all for joining us. And we thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts and realizations. Vanchakraptibhyascha kripasindavevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.